All right, get ready for a wild one. Then you got to remember, this is a game in 3 minutes. And you get more than your money's worth for this one. Even if you'd paid real money. All right. This is Sicilian Smith-Morra Gambit declined. Okay, no problems. The advantage for white here is that he gets the classical center. E4 and D4 versus D6 and E6. And he wants to go with this business. Yeah, whatever, dude. You know, that's a really interesting move. Me, I'm going to go with the standard. The trap is bishop to G5 question mark, no good. See if you can figure out what move black would play if white plays bishop to G5 right here. Pause the video if you need to do it. And we're back. If white plays bishop G5, knight takes D5, wins a pawn. If bishop takes bishop, then knight snaps back from D5 to E7, pocketing a free pawn. Now, I mean, that pawn would be backwards on D6, but still, free pawn is a free pawn. You got to take it. So castling, much better. So good, black decided he would do the same thing. Okay, now this game works out really well for white's strategy, is that he's just going to try and use this space advantage and the retreat of that B8 knight with the gain of time to try and take squares away from black. So H3 takes G4 away from the bishop and also from the knight, because white would like to play that black squared bishop to E3 if he can. So now it just makes black think twice about shoving that knight on C5. Like, okay, A6, pretty good. You're not playing any B5 anytime soon, son. So A4, snap, B5 would lose because white has 4 pieces and pawns trained at B5. So B5's not happening today. Not on this board. G6, nothing spectacular, but not terrible. The bishop is really not doing anything on E7, so, playing rook to E8 and then bishop to F8, get that bishop back to defend the king, pretty good idea. I mean, this guy is a good player. So I'm going to jump in. It doesn't really do anything, but, makes him think. And in a game in 3 minutes, if you can make a guy think enough times, he runs out of time. So, whatever. A5. A lot of times you cannot play A5 to restrict the queen side for black. This time you can. Watch it. This is a good one too. So, I don't want to trade with you. I'll make you, think about it. That black bishop doesn't do much. White's dark square bishop has more future right now than black's does. So trading it is not really something that needs to happen. And it was a no-brainer. So, okay, now you're a hot shot. You're going to come to knight to F4? Well, I don't think so. Okay, knight to F8, good move. I didn't see why it was a good move when he made it. And, I continued oblivious to what was going on. I was interested in my own queen side restriction plan, and it was good. Problem is, his move was good because it had bishop takes H3. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm still on queen side restriction. Really, bishop takes H3, you take it every time, of course, but it isn't that big of a deal. And you'll see that I mean, if you're going to give up a pawn, man, I lucked out. This was the position to give up the pawn. You know, like with a dumb move. I mean, I should have just played king g2 and then he can't do squat. But no one's perfect. Made a boo-boo, no big deal. Now, you see that b6 square? I own that sucker. That square's mine. So now, his development is, well, it's atrocious. Bishop on d7 can do really nothing. The knight on h5 does nothing. Bishop g7 does nothing. Knight f8 does nothing. Rook e8 does nothing. You get the drift. What's going on here? Queen d8 can do nothing. Rook b8. None of his pieces are worth a crud. So I made a mistake and gave up a pawn, and I'm still winning this game. Do you want to trade? Nope, I don't want to trade. Oh, come on, man. Don't you want to trade with me? No, not really. Go back to e3. Hey, I was just testing, see what was going on. No biggie. f5, good move. He's got to have some activity, or he's just gonna get rolled off the board. King g2, the rooks would roll up on the h file, and he's toast. All right. Again, that dadgum bishop to f6. He's a real freak. But I'm not going to take him just yet. And every time I move, he wastes more time. So this craziness for white is, you know, slightly worse for black. Okay, you took my pawn, you jerkweed. Okay, fine. That's how it is. That's how it is. Oh, he's going to hold that? Not in your dreams, buddy. He can't hold that e4 pawn, even if he wanted to. Which he probably does, actually. So, this is a constrictor's game. I am like a giant python. And the white pieces are just squeezing black, slowly but surely. Uh-oh, gotta move your bishop again. Go back home, Junior. You know, that guy is actually, at some point, he's probably praying that white would take some of his pieces so he could loosen up. Okay, knight takes e4. It was an oversight, pardon me, that I allowed him to win that pawn, but I took it back in such a fashion that it doesn't matter. This position is just unbelievable that he has. Look at the nothing that black has. He just has nothing to do. He sits there. He's waiting for the axe to fall. Okay. See if you can figure out what you would do if you were white. Pause the video, and we'll be back. And we're back. Okay. Did you come up with this move? Boing, you probably did. It's fairly obvious. It's really funny. You know, white made a mistake losing two different pawns. They both come back, and the position is just still devastating. I'm not winning outright, but it's really good. Now look at this freak. He took another pawn. What a jerk. All right. Eat this, buddy. Actually, yes, that's what he should do. And I should do this. I was thinking I actually had a different move. Let's look at this again. I swear I had a better move. Well, I could play knight takes f7. Bishop takes my queen. I take knight takes his queen. And if he plays bishop takes bishop, I'd play rook takes bishop and... Oh, no, I wouldn't. No, I did the right way. Don't like it. This is better. So, still, he's fighting, you know, what looks like a losing battle. But he's making some minor progress, I suppose. but the effect of the python has been pretty outstanding. I hated to trade off that piece, but I had to do it because, you know, well, in game in 3 minutes, no one's perfect. Okay. Rook to f1. I really think he should play rook to f8. Bishop to e7. Doesn't do it for me, man. But he runs, he's got a blockade. His queen, his expensive queen, is blocking my lowly d-pawn to prevent him from hitting with, with a discovered check with d6 check from the bishop. So he's hanging in there, but he's not exactly rejoicing. I have the f-file now. See how you like this. The points of entry are just kicking butt. There's no threat here, but there's so overwhelmingly no threat that my robotic spidey senses just said, hey, you know what? Just defend the bishop with b3. He's got a whole giant barrel of nothing. And so, that move I played super fast. So his clock has been bleeding, just incessantly. Rook to g8. Now, to be honest with you, I really don't even know what the best move to play here is for black. I don't know exactly what he's going to do. If he could escape this kind of thing, bishop to h4 maybe doesn't even do anything so much, because rook to f7 is just going to be a killing move. He could have played rook to f8 though. Now that I think about it, he could have played rook f8 if I take, because he's got queen and bishop defending. Rook f8 instead of rook to g8. Rook f8, rook takes check, bishop goes to there. Bishop takes would be okay actually. Or rook to f8. I could just go rook to f7. That's the problem. Yeah, rook to f8's no good. Rook to f8 is no good because rook f7 threatens the g7 bishop. And that's a devastating position. So rook g8 might be the best move. It's hard to say, dude. So rook to f7 is a great move, no question about it. I mean, he's about to run into white potentially tripling on the file, which could be really nice. So he's trying to defend this, get that rook in sideways. Me, I go with the triple. Now the thing is, what this position is actually looking like, if you look at it, is it's behaving a lot like a bishops of opposite colored position, where white's domination is on the white squares and black's domination is on the dark squares. And he has a knight and I have another bishop. But if you look at it, the color domination for each side makes it look a lot like bishops of opposite colors, except that he's got a knight added to that and I've got the bishop. Which means that the attacking side, which is white, is going to have, and does have unprecedented domination of the white squares to do whatever it is the heck I want to do. But I do get that little extra help from the black bishop. Oh, you took a pawn. Well, whoop-de-doo. Now he's back to 2 pawns ahead, that jerk. Well, that's all right. We don't worry about it. You see, now white has made progress with his tripling on the file and that rook on f7. So get ready to pause the video and see if you can figure out what white should do here, okay? And we're back. So, what did you see? Well, Here's what I saw. Remember I talked about that white squared bishop on c4. He gets a little bit stronger here. Now, the queen is no longer blockading the d pawn. And this is one of the dangers of having this kind of a pawn, is that if you can free it up with a bishop behind it, like I just did, this can be super nasty, because now that rook can no longer defend that knight. So he goes rook to c8. All right, cool. Eat this. Although I missed the checkmate. Rook to f8, check is mate. He takes my queen and rook takes queen. So I made a mistake there. I'm so winning this that I made a mistake and I'm still winning this. So yes, I missed that checkmate, but that's okay. So now rook takes f7. Oh man, this is just nasty. Now his rook is under, I mean his knight is under double attack. He can't really defend it. Oh, and he resigned at this position. But this was a killer game, if you saw, of what I like to call Python chess. The white pieces were like the Python, just squeezing the black position. You know, dropped a couple of pawns accidentally, got him back, gave him up again, and cashed in, moved in into the openings and cashed in on the advantages. Pretty nasty stuff. I mean, he's got a problem. If he goes, say, well, he can't go move the knight. If he moves the knight, he loses the knight. And if he goes to knight to e8, which doesn't lose it, I checkmate him. I already missed that move once. But, so, that's a problem for me that I missed that. But if he goes here, if he goes rook to g8, well, dude, you're just getting murdered. In fact, he's getting double donkey murdered over here. Oh, Jesus, this is hideous. Look at this. That bishop takes g7. It doesn't guard anything. You're checkmated, bro. I didn't even realize that was checkmate. That rook to g8 is really bad, which is why he resigned. He must have seen that rook g8, bishop checks, and you're checkmated. So, got to give that dude credit for seeing that. Because at the time he resigned, I mean, I know that I'm winning. That's why I'm not really worried about what is there. But now that I look at it, in a couple of seconds, bing, bang, boom, bishop takes g7 is just crushing. So, I mean, it's nothing he could do. I don't know. I mean, he could play b5, I guess. But again, actually the move he has to play here, b5 doesn't do it. Because I have to check him, and it's just nasty. I would play bishop takes, g7, check. If he goes b5, watch. b5 doesn't work. Check, king to g8. Check from the bishop. He takes the bishop. I'm going to take this with check. He takes this bishop. And his game is about to be over. Because I'm just going to move this. I'm just going to... Well, he'd go here, actually. Yeah, I've got a winning king and pawn endgame at any time, so I don't have to do that. All I have to do is this. There's nothing he could do. There's literally nothing he can do. This is completely dead. This doesn't work either. Crunch. There's nothing he can do. Everything has been secured. King's going to roll up to e4. and it's going to be ugly. He can't take the pawn ever, because I would just take the bishop. Oh hell, I would just play c5. That's worse. He really can't take it. I mean, even if I took that, bishop takes d6, if I played rook takes d6, he loses. It's just a relatively easy win. So, but he gets it by c5, he just gets murdered. This sucks for black. I mean, he was correct to resign. This position was just beyond hope, because that knight move was that knight was going to die. The tripling on the file was just devastation. It was everything you'd hope a tripling on the file would be, and more. It's that bishop on c4, and that's why I said, when there was no pressure on me to do anything, I just played b3, secure the bishop against, crazy tactics. Nothing was going away, and I think that b3 was really a strong move, more so than, the computer. I don't think when I briefly looked at it, didn't show anything special. It didn't look like White was in trouble. But this is just, my experience factor comes in saying, you know what? He's got a giant barrel of nothing here. Let's just guard the bishop. And if he wants to trade bishop, take the bishop, sacrifice in exchange for it, well, then he gets replaced by a killer pawn at c4. That, it's just nasty. So I wanted to say b3 was really a strong move, because positionally, he's just completely locked down. He's literally got nothing. Rook to g8, he played that because that's one of the few moves that doesn't lose. His knight can't move. I mean, dude, look at that knight. Pawn's guarding 3 of his 4 possible squares. The other one just blocks his rook off. This is just absolutely horrible. And we have that killer. Yes, see, bishop to d8 is it's not that it's a bad move. What does he have? I could have just played that right then and there. I mean, it's so good. It's so overwhelming. I'm just building the position up. I could have hit him with that same combo. Rook takes d7, queen takes d7, d6. And you're in bad shape. But, I mean, it's all good. He literally has nothing. Now he's just double toast, which, as we saw, that d6 move is just, smashing. It's kind of stuff I've seen in books. Especially the book that comes to mind, is Modern Chess Strategy by Grandmaster Pachman. Oh my God, dude, that guy was fantastic. It's a really nice book, because he details how you're supposed to play with the isolated queen pawn, which is that when you look at the d5 pawn that I had with the bishop there, that's similar to the standard, different, Queen's Gambit declines, where one side or the other gets the isolated queen pawn, where the bishop is on either, the white bishop is on c4, or the black bishop is on c5, and then the pawn is on d4 for black. So you do all these things, and then I was, waiting to exchange something to force that opening to allow the sacrifice of the d pawn to unleash the power of the bishop, which exactly happened like it happens in the book. It's a fantastic book. So this was really tremendous. Like I said, and this was an amazing game in 3 minutes. And just that, you just don't see Python chess in a 3-minute game. So, man, I would say check this out, show your friends, get together with a group, go through it, see what you see, whatever. Because there's a lot of stuff here, as you saw, and there's a lot of lessons for you to learn Hopefully this guy will help you guys out. You guys know what to do. Talk to you later.